Again, welcome to, I guess this is day 8 of the Food Freedom Challenge, where we are wrapping up this beautiful week that we had, going through the different areas when you're really working on the mindset in these areas that can lead you towards your version of food, body, and health freedom. And I wanted to jump in today to do a wrap-up session, help you process your biggest takeaways, biggest action steps, and even share a little bit, no one's name, just kind of some things that I saw as you guys were sharing, and really share with you then 3 tools to help you further catalyze your version of food freedom, maybe in your food struggles, and really find that body peace and confidence and healthy lifestyle. And how I actually have intentionally designed my 6-week boot camp to give you all 3 of those things. All right. So if you are tuning in live, let me know you're here live. Say hello if you're watching the replay or listening on the podcast. I'm going to put this on the podcast too. Then, somehow interact with me on social or an email and just let me know your takeaways. So, I did this Food Freedom Challenge back in March, and it was based off of a Food Freedom Journal, free resource that I have. That is more of a reflection journal, not to be confused with my food journal and habits tracker. That's something different. That's like a tool it's very different. The Food Freedom Journal is more of a reflective base, free resource that you could even download at any time. Now, I saw that within a few months, that was one of my most popular free resources. And it became very clear as I started to do more podcasts and more content around particularly your relationship with food, your body, and yourself, that it was very clear that you and my audience really needed support there. But then more so as I started thinking about the last 5.5 years of coaching women in my various coaching programs, that was always the starting point. And so as I started to look at all the beautiful content, all the programs I created, I realized that a lot of women do come to me who wanting support with their habits. How do I eat well? How do I know what to eat? How do I exercise consistently? How do I manage my stress? And what are the other things that I should consider that I just don't know that I should consider? And how do I do it all sustainably? Is great. And I love helping women with that. But the first step, as we started to work together, we both started to see that actually their relationship with diets, the scale, food, their bodies themselves, exercise, and how they handle their emotions was really driving the car, I should say. Those beliefs about all of those things and our relationship to all of those things was informing. It definitely informed my decisions, but also informed their decisions towards their habits, right? So, they were trying to eat healthy when they recognized that they just really felt like eating healthy means that they can never eat certain foods again, or they had to be very restrictive, or they had to count calories or do all these other things, or they wanted to get fit, but that meant doing these intense fitness programs that they didn't even enjoy and would not do sustainably. And so as I started to really listen in more, I started to cater not just my content and challenges, but also my podcast, but also my work that I was doing, and just codifying it in such a way to really specifically address those things. And so this challenge has been one of the most, I've only ran it officially live twice, but the content throughout it is what I've been working with clients through one-on-one. And so as I launched this challenge, I really wanted to, I primarily, I should say, do one-on-one coaching, but I really am going into a season of still doing one-on-one coaching. I love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's the best type of, not that group coaching isn't the best. I actually have had both, right? And I'm actually in a group coaching program versus one-on-one right now. And I think there are a lot of benefits that I recognize that when I was just in one-on-one, I did not have when I was just doing one-on-one coaching. And so I wanted to really start to lead the women that I serve in that area. And the beautiful thing about group coaching is it's going to provide you these 3 tools that I'm talking about, but it's actually at a more affordable, I don't want to say affordable, because I actually think one-on-one coaching is affordable because it's necessary. But what most people would consider more affordable, you can still get access to a coach who maybe charges premium prices, or, has really does focus one-on-one, and you could get that same access, that almost same level of support, but actually more additional things in a group coaching format. So that's why I really wanted to launch my Food Freedom Bootcamp, which is open for registration right now, and it starts October 4th. And, originally I was going to do a different 6-week bootcamp. I was going to be touching on those little elements, right, that of of all the things that I work with women around, whether it was aligned goal setting, food freedom, healthy habits for sustainable success, the process of gratitude and reflection, or, flourishing life, other areas of your life, which are all very important. And that's why I really focus primarily on all of those in my 6-month program. But in the 6-week, in a small container, I really wanted to narrow in and go deeper into the concepts we have covered in this Food Freedom Challenge. So again, I run this Food Freedom Challenge, probably will only run the challenge and the bootcamp only once, if not twice a year. Right. And so that's why whenever you see this challenge pop up, but also whenever you see the group program pop up, it is very important that you really ask yourself, is this the thing for me? Because it's not something I'm just going to run all the time. Because I have a lot of other projects in the works, actually, a lot of projects I'm really excited to share with you soon. But this group coaching program is so special. It is something I have been dreaming about doing and have been putting together for a long time. And that is why listen, when I talk about, I offer a lot of things for free. I'm going to be very honest with you. I do. Probably most people would look at me and say, like, that's crazy. You shouldn't. But listen, I'm under the firm belief that I can give you value and serve you. And you can get a lot of great takeaways from that. But I'm also under the firm belief and proof that when women sign up to work with me in a paid capacity, they catalyze their transformation and their freedom and breakthrough, because they don't have to sift through all the tips that I talk about. They don't have to sift through all the stuff, which is a lot of great information, but they can directly hear and process with me and with the group what works best for them, where they need to start. And that is why I have invested in coaching since day one in my business, but also since I really got serious with my health. Because I just knew there's so much other stuff out there and they're all great, but what about me? Where am I uniquely at, and how do I navigate that? Because especially now as a mom, as a business, multiple business owners, I run an oils business and a coaching business, involved in ministry, married, all these other things. It's like, I don't have a lot of time to like do a bunch of extra research, do a bunch of extra reading and testing. So I really am about like, who can help me figure out and navigate the worlds of possible choices and choose what's best for me. And that's what I want to offer as a coach. And that's what I'm offering in this group program. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the boot camp at the end. So you want to stay tuned. You've probably been hearing me talk about it, but I'm going to really connect it to these tools, but also to really helping you figure out what's next. Okay. So in this 7-day challenge, we covered 7 different areas, right? In the Food Freedom Challenge, we covered your relationship with diets and your history with it. We covered your relationship with the scale and your weight, food and how the different views you can have of it, your body, yourself, exercise, and processing your emotional health. And I really want to ask you specifically, if you have done this challenge with us live, whether it was this round or maybe you did it back in March, what were your biggest takeaways? I mean, I am still reading through all the amazing reflections that you guys have been doing, not just in the group, but also in Member Vault. So I understand that not everyone's in Facebook, right? I do think the Facebook group is very special, but I understand also people want a private space to just reflect. And so that's why the Member Vault option is where I put the trainings, the replays up there, and you can answer the questions there. And it's just beautiful to see what you guys have been sharing, just like these aha moments of really understanding, like, oh, this is what's driving my relationship with food. Oh, this is what's driving my relationship with exercise. I notice how in some of these areas you guys have said, I actually really enjoy exercise. I have no problem with it. But oh my gosh, I realized that I increased my exercise when I felt like I gained weight. And so although you have no problem with exercise, you are using one of the views we talked about, a means to an end, a ways to get your weight back, which isn't bad. It's just important that you be aware of that, so that when exercise then becomes burdensome, you realize this is why it's become burdensome. Or maybe you all are like, I've really done a lot of work in accepting my relationship with my body and so forth. But I actually realize every time someone compliments me on like what I'm wearing or something around my body, I go back to this place of deflecting it. And actually, then I realize I'm actually not secure in my body. Right. So it's just a lot of awareness and insight that is very key to overcoming those barriers and having that lifelong breakthrough. I mean, your relationship with diets and the scale, I think, and your body and yourself, those 4 in particular, I see how you have all kind of realized that is driving your relationship with food. If you think that your weight needs to be a certain number, you run to a diet, which then informs your relationship with food. But you really are not securing your body or who you are. So that's driving it all together, right? You see, it's all connected. That's why we cannot not ignore it. So a lot of women will come to me like, I need support with emotional eating, or eating where I'm just not as mindful. And you might want me to say, here are the tips, which I can share with you. But that is only going to work for a short amount of time. You need to do that deeper work of understanding your mindset in all of these areas and how it's all connected. That is a work you can do in the challenge, but that is a work that we're going to really dive deeper into in the boot camp. Because as your coach, it's like I'm asking you questions and I'm listening, and other women are going to give you some insight as well and hold that space of encouragement for you, which is you can't really do in kind of like this format. You can't really do fully with me just talking to you or you just commenting. It's like a conversation, and that coaching environment really does allow that transformative space. Right. So many of you have had so many great takeaways, right? And so many of you realized, okay, like I just see that sometimes I'm aware of things, but I don't know how to change them. I don't know what will work best for me, or I don't have grace for myself along the journey. So of course I'm going to go back to my old thoughts. So many of you have said that just the things that you think and say about yourself and food and your body and all those things have really informed how you make decisions towards it, or what other people have said and think. All right. And you've all created beautiful, next steps, beautiful affirmations. But I just have to ask you then, like, as you create those, they'll have those takeaways. So share your takeaways with us here in the group or, in the member vault. But what are your next steps? And what support do you need in those next steps, right? So we can all do a challenge. You can do a course all the time and say like, I realize that I need to just start speaking loving things over my body. And so I'm going to start saying this affirmation. Well, what support do you need to do that? Do you need a resource? Do you need a coaching environment that will help you when you feel like not doing it? Or that will help you when you catch yourself? Like, what support do you need? I think all of us, I was just on a beautiful interview with one of my great business friends. She was interviewing me about just the topic of self-doubt and indecision. And we spent a long time talking about when it comes to self-doubt, when it comes to indecision, often fear is the driving thing. Which, sweet friends, we're actually going to talk about fear on the podcast tomorrow and in the training on Thursday. Because I think fear is often even the thing that holds us back from getting the support we need. We need support. We need to normalize that support is normal. We need to normalize support's normal with our kids. We need to normalize support's normal with our house, with our job, with our relationships, and with our health. We just need to normalize it, because we're thinking that all we need to do is just follow this program, when in reality, that program's not set up to fit you and your unique needs and your unique life, right? Now, sometimes people are great at what we call, what's the word? They're great at like really individualizing and customizing information for themselves, but sometimes it's just hard. Or you just want some support. I always say you need to normalize support. So like, what are your biggest takeaways? What are your action steps, and what support do you need? And I actually think these 3 tools can help give you the support you need. And the first tool is content. So you guys have you've had a little bit of content, throughout this week. You've had the little training video, you've had the reflection video, you've had the live stream. And I think what content does for us, it helps us think a little bit differently. It helps us narrow in, gives us wisdom, gives us insight, gives us a different perspective on a particular area. And so, through these different videos I've done here, and, even whether it's been the training video or the live video, you guys have had a little bit of different perspective and a different little bit of insight. Actually, insight that is but not just based on my own experience, but actually working with women over the last 5.5 years. And I think content is beautiful in helping us get that insight, but the type of content I even think, the insight, the wisdom, understanding, the type of content I also think is really transformative content that's going to help you take action, and they're going to provide you the practical tools and resources to take that action. And in my Food Freedom Bootcamp, you're similar going to have like a video that provides a little bit of insight. But in addition to that, you also are going to have videos that, we talked about, like creating affirmations, videos that's going to give you a 9-step process to create an affirmation, some examples, some 21 affirmations, I forgot how much it was, that you can actually use, like practical tools, content to help you actually apply the new insight and all that you had. And so that's what I love, creating content that inspires, provides a different perspective. And I do that a lot in my podcast. I do that a lot in my free challenges. They're kind of like the why and the what that's important. But in my coaching programs, I give you the how to actually write an affirmation, how to actually start dressing confidently, how to actually start speaking life, how to actually approach food differently. And also tying into that, I'll come back to that when I talk about the third tool, but how even in the bootcamp, I can help you customize that content even more through the third tool, which I'm going to get to at the very end. But so the first tool is content. I just definitely believe, there are resources out there, whether it's free resources, whether it's podcasts, all that can help give you that wisdom, that inspiring, a different perspective. But I definitely believe the power of the type of content I think can really transform your food struggles or your relationship with food and your body, and you have the freedom, is the how-to content. And that is exactly what I provide in the boot camp. So like even with week one, in the different weeks, you're going to have different focuses. Like week one, we talk about defining your version of food freedom, but that's also a week where we're going to actually create affirmations, and there's going to be affirmation cards you can write your own. There's going to be some suggested affirmations you can use. There's going to be a video on how to create affirmations. Then week two, we talk about diets and the scale. Well, we're going to talk about really some practical reflection questions on how we can manage, take the measurements we may want to take physically, but also manage our mindset by creating the beyond the scale victories. So I gave you guys a few examples, but I'm going to give you a whole list of beyond the scale victories, and we're going to create your own. And then you're going to really learn to track those beyond the scale victories through the habits tracker that I have, or through the just we can create your own tracker too if you don't want to use that one, but that's also a gift during the boot camp. And then we're going to talk about connection between emotions and food. And yesterday in the challenge we talked about emotions and emotional eating, but really we're going to help you create practical strategies, some reflection questions, some insights around emotional intelligence that's going to really help you start to practice more mindfulness when it comes to your mood and your food. What's going on with your mood, and then what's going on with your relationship with food, and sometimes how that's connected. Then week 4, we're going to talk about food as fuel and exercise as joy. So yes, we're going to talk about the different views we can have towards food and exercise, kind of like what we did here, but we're going to actually talk about practically what does it learn to eat more mindfully. And then also, what is it like to explore different ways of moving. We can give you some tools, some exercises, some ideas, and I'm going to give you my bonus masterclass, actually, the exercise strategies to maximize results. I forgot what I named it, but where we talk about roadblocks around exercise, different types of exercises to include, and solutions and so forth. And then you have some fitness plans to even get you started. And then week 5, we talk about celebrating and taking care of our bodies. We're going to talk about what we say over our bodies, but then also this is where practically we're going to talk about health, like introduction to healthy habits to take care of our body. Now, healthy habits in general are a very huge part of the work I do that I really cover more in my 6-month program, but we're just getting an introduction to it because I don't want you to just have your mindset transform. I also want you to practically change how you take care of your body, and that's week 5. And then week 6, we're going to talk about yourself, right? Believing and acting like you're enough. So we're going to talk about stuff around shame and guilt and the role of feeling enough or flawed in our life. Then we're going to use the tools, practical things of the how of visualizations, journaling, and then bringing back the affirmations to actually shift the way we see and act towards ourselves, right? So the content portion of the bootcamp versus the challenge is going to be very much like, yes, different perspective, different insight, but a lot of how-tos to actually transform that, right? So that's number 1. I think we need content that's going to give us different perspective and shift our thoughts, but also practically share with us how to transform our relationship with food, our body, and ourselves. And then second is community, or connection is what I call it. And I believe that we are not meant to do any major, actually, we're not meant to do anything in our life alone, but major transformational journey alone. And yes, as a one-on-one coach, when you sign up for that, I could support you in that, in supporting you in you and I, like I'm there journeying with you, but to journey with other women who are also, maybe they're different stuck points for them, different areas. But let me tell you, it is such a beautiful, sweet space that I have experienced being a part of group programs where I've created like really good friends, even after the program, because it's something called social cohesion. And this is why CrossFit, say, for example, or group fitness classes work well, or sports teams or anything like that. Anything where you're doing you're doing with another group of people, that's kind of hard. You kind of are suffering, or you're feeling pain, or you're like going through transformational experience. It bonds you in a way that you're not bonded to someone else, right? And so that's why, you see a lot of, like, if you do CrossFit or like fitness classes, a lot of people are bonded together and they form relationships because they're like doing something hard together. And that is what I want to create, not this space of hardship, but this space of support, this space of empowerment, this space of community, when you're really coming together with other women to, to be bonded in a real way and get that connection with other peers and that community, where you could post, hey, it was a hard week, and they could say, hey, that's fine. Or, like, I didn't get to go through today's training or show up for this week's coaching session, but this is what I did. It's like, let's celebrate. Don't just hear that from me, hear that from them. Okay. So that is what you get. Yes, you could do it in this big Facebook group of over 1,000 women, but when you have a small group of women of 8 or less, it's like, you feel known. You feel like you belong. And that is another huge part of the work too. I want to create a space where women are constantly feeling safe, supported, and empowered. Okay. So content, not just the why, but the how. Community and connection, where you're like, no, you're not alone, where there's going to be a private Facebook group. I'm even going to set up accountability partners where you can check in with each other too. And you could post in the group as much as you want and get support, not just from me, but the women. And just for 6 beautiful weeks, you're not alone. So many of the women that I've had calls with the last 5 years, particularly the last year, and particularly last year and a half, as we've dealt with this current season of health in our world, feel alone. And I feel alone in this journey, right, of food freedom. And this bootcamp helps you not be alone, because you're not just with me, you're with other group of women to really feel that connection, that support, and community. All right. So the accountability partner, the private Facebook group, is really going to provide that. And then even the one-on-one session, right? But that one-on-one session and even the group coaching goes into third. I think we need content and connection and community, but I think we need coaching. And I was just talking again with the same interview about normalizing mentorship in our life, normalizing that we need help in our lives. Throughout, I have a 15-month-old, and part of my role as a parent, but not just like when I send her to school, but is to help her grow, is help her develop, is help her transform, is help, raise her, discipline her, uplift her, celebrate her. And there are things that she just doesn't know how to do that she needs to be taught, right? So she needs to be taught words, and that helps by me reading to her, by me like intentionally repeating words, pointing, all that helps her. She needs to be taught, one of the first things they tell you when you have a baby is to do tummy time, because it helps them learn to hold their head up. It helps them get strong. It helps them get confident. We did that every day. And sure enough, she is more than capable of holding everything up right now. But you know what I'm trying to say? It's like there are things I had to be intentional with in order to support her and raise her. And so then, and then either me, or if I do homeschool, if I send her to school till she's 18, she has that intentional support in growing and developing, not just academically, but as a person. And then in college, the same. But then after college, or even after whatever, this structured way of support and mentorship, we have to seek that out for ourselves, and not just in one area, but multiple. We're used to seeking it out professionally and career-wise, because as a world, we prioritize and value productivity working in careers more than anything else. And that's very important, but you need mentorship in other areas. So if you really feel like you're struggling with certain relationships, get some mentorship or support. If you really feel like you're struggling with running a business or raising your kids, there's tons of women out there like who are doing stuff with parenting and kids. And yet when it comes to ourselves, because why? Because it has nothing, because those other things have to do with how we, serve, whether it's ministry or business or how we raise our kids. It has to do with everyone else. But when it comes to ourselves, we somehow tell ourselves it's not worth the investment or it's not as important. When I would argue that it's maybe more important. The reason why, it's not just so you can be healthy, so you can show up for your kids, but so you can be healthy and model to your kids and model to everyone else that it is normal to be supported. It is normal to be mentored. It doesn't mean I actually am flawed. What it means is actually, I believe in myself. I believe my purpose is great. And I believe that being well and healthy and vibrant and alive and joyful should be a normal part of our everyday life. Yeah, does that mean that things aren't hard? No, but we should, practice more gratitude and mindfulness and all that. And I just need support in that. Or I've navigated all of these different health programs before. And I think, if I just do this diet again or do this again, I'm going to be fine. But you've done it for decades or for so long and it's not working. So is there another way? And maybe getting higher level of support is that way. I've invested tons of money. Not to say that necessarily I don't have tons of money, but I have prioritized that for my health, the types of food we get, the type of workout programs, the type of coaching, all of that, the type of products I use. And that's why I'm all about essential oils too. But because to me, it's very important to invest in my body and my family's body and health. But I didn't start caring about non-toxic solutions when I had a baby. I was caring about it from 8 years prior when I first learned about it, because I wanted to make sure that I was using things that uplifted my health versus taking away. Am I a little bit more conscious of it now that I have a kid? Yeah, but it's just kind of like, this is normal. And so why I say that is that I want you to normalize that it's okay to get support in your health. And I think that is through mentorship and coaching. One, it's normalized to get support in any area of your life. And that's why I became a coach. I could easily be simply just a content creator. I could just keep making podcasts, keep doing all of that. But I have seen the most breakthrough in my life when I've had a space to be real and honest and have a different perspective, but also give different insight and a way to customize that experience for myself. And so in the boot camp, as your coach, there are weekly group coaching calls. So even if you miss a call, I know a lot of women are like, I'm going to miss a call or two. They're recorded. And let me tell you, the beautiful thing about group coaching is that whenever I've sat in a group coaching environment and I we all get kind of a hot seat, you get your space to be coached and then have your other group members kind of share their insight too. Even when I was at the last bit, I think I got to change my question now because I was just coached as you coached all of them. That's why we do masterminds or group experiences, is because we all have different insight. We all have different experiences, and I believe we can learn from each other. And that's why I created a group coaching call, not just like content, but like a space for you to be coached by me, but also, get some insight from your community, from your group members too. And I'm basically your coach once you sign up. Like even in the Facebook group, you do a post, like I can coach you. Maybe you've gotten a little bit of experience through this challenge where I'm like asking you questions, even as you comment. And that is something that you're going to get even more in the 6-week boot camp, right? And so I truly believe that coaching and mentorship has the opportunity to transform your health and your life. And I think it starts with these areas around food freedom, as someone who's helped women in all of these areas we've talked about, who has done her own transformational work there, who's read tons, who's studied tons, who's got a lot of certification. I do all this because I want to offer you the best as your coach. And I will provide a space to listen. I will provide a space for insight, but I will provide a space for you to really have breakthrough, right? And so in the in the boot camp, you're going to get that through the weekly coaching calls. You're going to get that when you post a question or an aha moment or takeaway in the group. You're basically just going to get coaching, content, and community and connection every single day or week. And you can jump in as much as you want, or you can step out. So that's another thing, is another often thing I hear is time. Like, you know, I had someone say, like, I might miss the first group call. And I'm like, well, you could watch the replay and you could still share your takeaways in the group. And I would love to support you in that way. Or if you're like, listen, I actually can't make any of the calls, but I think going through the group part, maybe introducing myself via video or going through the content with other women is very, but I still want that coaching element. I can do like a special prize package for you. Maybe you get 1 or 2 one-on-one sessions, but you're going through everything with the group, right? It's going to be a different package, but you can still go through this 6-week beautiful container. And so another thing with time is that, like, you can use as much of it or as little of it as you want. And so if you're like, I can't actually go through any of the trainings right now, but you should show up for the group coaching calls. If you only have an hour a week, that's what you show up for, because you're going to get a lot of insight from there, right? But even if you can't do the content, watch the group coaching call replay. Even if you 1 week you can just interact on the Facebook group. I have all these tools, not necessarily say you need to use all of them, but different women are going to really need different elements of these. I find that some women really love coaching and that's what they need most. And most of my one-on-one clients, that's why they choose one-on-one, because they don't have time to watch content. They don't even have time to necessarily engage in community, other things, but the coaching helps catalyze everything forward. So that's why they sign up for one-on-one coaching. I have some people who, like, you know, I really love your trainings and I want to use them, but then maybe use you one-on-one to unpack those and all that. So it's like, well, that's there. And the connection piece, right? And so that's why the group program, when I just do one-on-one, you can still have connection with me, but you don't have a connection to like a small group of women. That's why this group program is so key. You're not going to get that necessarily in one-on-one coaching. If that's something you crave, then this is the space, right? So I am a firm believer, and I've seen it, I've seen proof, evidence that when you can really have a container or a space where you can have community and connection, how to and like why content, like inspirational plus practical content, but then also coaching space to be guided and customize that experience, help you process things, mindset, even practical things that you just don't know how to, or just don't want to process alone. You can end your food struggles and start to overcome them. You can find peace with your body. Oh yeah. You can really start to see that your weight is not your worth is not in your scale or your weight. You can start to find your customized way of taking care of yourself that has nothing to do with a diet. And you can start to enjoy exercise. And you can start to process your emotions in a way that's helpful to you. And so if any of this was like, oh, Brie, I think you're just speaking to me, I think my boot camp is for you, right? Early bird ends this Friday. And even if you're listening to this after, you have up till October 1st to enroll. October 4th, the Monday we start. So you have to the Friday to sign up. And so, but I do early bird just in case you early bird gets the worm. Spots will fill, right? So spots will fill. So if you are, I already had people who are like, you know, so I really want you to book a call with me for this week. If you can't find a time that works for you, please message me. I can make a time, but also reach out this week in particular. So you could not only get $100 off, but also you could get a one-on-one session that you can use with me throughout any of the 6 weeks, right before we start, but even actually think you should use it throughout the 6 weeks. Because sometimes there might be something you want to process a little bit more. Maybe it's the week that you missed a call and you just want to have a session, right? And so the value of this program is probably triple than what I'm charging. It is triple than what I'm charging. And if I were to offer you this level of support one-on-one over a little bit of a different time period, it would be triple. And I made it, honestly, it's affordable for the amount of support you're getting. This price, because I wanted more women to have access to this, and I wanted you to get all 3 elements, not just the content or community or content or coaching. I wanted you to get content, community and connection, and coaching. So if you're interested, you could check out the bootcamp details. They go to madewell345.com/bootcamp details, or join, you know, I only run this maybe I'm going to run this once a year or twice. So this is the time to get in, right? So this is the only time I'm running it for the rest of the year. But honestly, reach out to me, message me on Facebook or Instagram, go to @madewell345 on Instagram or Facebook, or even my message me personally. And I would love to just answer your questions, but also just hop on a short call this week to just help you get clear. Is this a fit for me? These are my hesitations. This is where I'm excited, but I'm not sure. All right. So I've just been so blessed to journey with you all in this last 7 days through this Food Freedom Challenge, but I would be even more blessed, and I would just love to support you all and bless you as you take this courageous step to join a small group of women to find your food freedom in the Food Freedom Bootcamp. So book a call at madewell345.com/clarity. If you can't find a time that works for you, please email me or message me on social so we can find a time. And you could check out the details too below if you're curious about the structure or some testimonies or some frequently asked questions and so forth. But really grateful to journey with you all. I'm excited to wrap up this challenge. But yeah, I just think this boot camp is going to be a great space to move forward beyond just the challenge. All right. I will see you all later. Oh, before I leave, I was offering, raffling up a 60-minute session. I forgot to announce the winner for that. The 60-minute session actually goes to Linda. I might say your name wrong. Linda T. I'm not going to say your name wrong because it's a beautiful last name. I just can't pronounce it right now. So Linda, I will reach out to you and schedule that 60-minute session with you, just for engaging so well and sharing so much, particularly in Member Vault. So that just shows you guys, even if you're not in the Facebook group, that's whenever I do something like this, it's important to engage in both places. You all were really engaged. So I just really want to thank you for that. But I really would love to support all of you in a clarity call if you really are interested in learning more about how the bootcamp can support you. So grateful for you all, and I will talk to you later.